The sky cracked open as the most powerful mage in history prepared his final act. Ichikami Minato focused every ounce of his soul into a never-before-seen 15th rank spell. A massive explosion obliterated the strongest demon king, turning the horizon into a sea of white fire. As his consciousness faded, the legend of the magic progenitor seemed to come to a definitive end. 50 years later, a young boy named Kusanagi Minato opened his eyes in a sterile hospital room. The doctors stood in disbelief as the boy who was run over by a truck fully recovered in seconds. Minato realized he was no longer in the war-torn era of 1970, but in the peaceful year of 2022. He watched thin televisions and people dancing to strange music called K-pop on their tiny handheld devices. He soon discovered that while technology had advanced, the art of magic had withered into a mere joke. Returning to his new home, he found that he was the sole survivor of a family taken by the same truck that hit him. The next morning, Minato arrived at the Kamui Magic Academy, expecting to see the future of sorcery. A student nearby cast a fire spell that had less power than a simple kitchen lighter. Minato sighed, wondering if humanity had spent the last 50 years forgetting how to breathe mana. Suddenly, a loudmouthed bully named Tadano blocked his path in the classroom. Tadano demanded money, claiming they were friends who looked out for each other. Minato simply asked who the redhead was, causing Tadano's face to turn a violent shade of crimson. Furious, Tadano tried to kick him, but Minato didn't even need magic to avoid the clumsy strike. The tension was broken when a beautiful girl with long blue hair entered the room. Tadano immediately turned into a shy, blushing mess at the mere sight of Mizuha. On the board, the teacher began a lesson about the great global catastrophe of the past. Minato watched as the teacher praised Ichikami Minato as the savior who died alone for the world. Mizuha raised her hand, speaking with pride about the legendary founder of magic. Hearing his own exaggerated legends being preached as gospel made the progenitor want to vanish from the spot. He looked out the window at a bird flying by, finally feeling a small bit of satisfaction that his sacrifice brought peace. The teacher then announced that tomorrow would be the official magic power assessment. Tadano mocked the class, promising to show everyone his superior flame power. When Minato tried to leave quietly, the bully blocked him again, calling him a cowardly bastard. Minato stopped, looked back, and called Tadano a pathetic loser in front of the entire room. The redhead snapped, igniting a wave of fire magic directly inside the enclosed classroom. Mizuha rushed forward to protect Minato, her eyes wide with fear for the weak boy. But Minato remained motionless as the flames washed over him like a harmless breeze. When the smoke cleared, the students gasped to see Minato completely unharmed. An insane blue aura suddenly erupted from the boy, pinning everyone to the floor with pure pressure. He walked toward the trembling Tadano, his voice sounding like a god judging a mortal. The teacher burst in just in time to stop the confrontation, and Minato instantly suppressed his power. He lied to the teacher with a faint smile, claiming the smoke was just the wind blowing from the street. Mizuha watched him leave the room, her heart racing as she realized she had seen something impossible. That night, Minato stood atop a skyscraper looking down at the ruined district of Shibuya. He sensed a monster approaching and leaped into the darkness with the grace of a predator. Tomorrow's test was basic, but Minato knew his return would eventually shatter the peace of this fragile world. The morning sun filtered through the classroom windows as Minato took his seat, ignoring the lingering whispers of his classmates. The instructor announced the start of the Magical Power Assessment, a test designed to measure the raw mana capacity of every student. Tadano stepped forward first, his face twisted into a smug grin as he prepared to show off his fire element. The device flashed a value of 1,000 as Tadano's flame flickered within the crystal, drawing applause from his sycophants. Mizuha approached next, her blue aura radiating a sense of calm and overwhelming grace that silenced the room. The measurement jumped to 2,000 points, marking her as the top student of the year and the pride of her noble bloodline. Minato watched with a flat expression, realizing that what they considered elite was barely the level of a beginner in his past life. When his name was called, the room filled with mocking laughter from students who expected him to fail miserably. He hesitated, wondering if he should suppress his mana to a minimum or test the upper limits of this modern machine. As his hand touched the cold surface of the crystal, he decided to release just a fraction of his true progenitor power. In an instant, the device began to scream as numbers cycled upward at a speed the human eye could not follow. The teacher's jaw dropped as the auditorium began to tremble under the weight of an invisible, crushing pressure. Cracks webbed across the surface of the evaluation crystal, unable to contain the primordial energy flowing from Minato. A massive pillar of light erupted from the device, blasting through the ceiling and lighting up the sky above the academy. Silence fell over the ruined hall as the smoke cleared, revealing Minato standing unharmed amidst the shards of the machine. The teacher stammered about a mechanical defect, refusing to believe a student could possess such a ridiculous amount of power. Mizuha watched him from the front row, her eyes wide as she realized that Minato's weak status was a total fabrication. Because the test results were void, Minato was assigned to a special remedial unit for further observation. To his dismay, Mizuha approached him after class, demanding that he explain the phenomenon she had witnessed. She bowed deeply and asked him to become her mentor, sensing that his understanding of magic far exceeded the academy's curriculum. Minato tried to dismiss her, but her sheer determination reminded him of the disciples he had trained centuries ago. He finally agreed to guide her, but only if she promised to follow his unconventional training methods without question. As night fell over the city, Minato donned a dark cloak and a mask, transforming into the urban legend known as the Black Mage. He sensed a group of high-ranking magic beasts moving through the abandoned ruins of the old Shibuya district. With a single leap, he descended into the darkness, moving with a speed that defied the laws of physics. A pack of demonic hounds lunged at him, their jaws dripping with toxic magical energy. Minato didn't even draw a weapon, simply raising his hand to manifest a complex non-elemental magic circle. A barrage of magical projectiles shredded the monsters in a heartbeat, leaving nothing but dissipating mana behind. He felt a presence nearby and realized a police officer was watching from the shadows, paralyzed with fear. He warned her to stay away from the restricted zones before vanishing into the night like a ghost. The next day, Minato met Mizuha at a private training ground, ready to begin her true magical education. She struggled to sense the natural mana in the atmosphere, as the modern world had taught her only to rely on her internal stores. Minato placed his hand on her back, guiding her energy and opening her perception to the world's hidden power. Suddenly, the world changed for Mizuha. She could see the flow of magic in the wind, the trees, and the very earth itself. Her growth was exceptional, far surpassing any of the other students who were still reciting stagnant incantations. Their session was interrupted by an emergency alert on their phones, signaling a monster breach near the academy. A high-ranking demon guard had manifested, threatening the lives of students who were caught off guard during their commute. Mizuha wanted to rush in, but Minato held her back, telling her to stay and observe the battle from a distance. He vanished from her side, only to reappear in the center of the chaos as the hooded Black Mage once again. As the demon raised its claw to strike, Minato prepared a high-rank spell that would reveal his identity if anyone looked too closely. The air hummed with power, but the sudden arrival of elite magic nobility forced him to hold his hand. If he saved them now, the world would hunt him. If he didn't, hundreds would perish, and the progenitor of magic faced a choice that would change everything. The sky above the academy suddenly fractures into a deep, blood-red hue as a massive magical pressure descends. Alarms blare across the campus while students scramble in total panic, fleeing from the sudden appearance of spatial rifts. From within the shadows of the portals, hideous high-ranked demons emerge, their claws dripping with dark, corrosive energy. Standing amidst the chaos, Minato Kusanagi narrows his eyes, sensing the arrival of a presence far stronger than mere foot soldiers. The elite student council mages attempt to form a defensive line, but their spells flicker and die against the demonic aura. A high-ranking noble mage steps forward, boasting of his lineage as he prepares a level 5 flame spell. However, the flame is snuffed out instantly by a single wave of the demon lord's hand, leaving the noble defenseless. The earth trembles as a tier-8 demon lord, draped in armor of voidstone, descends from the largest rift. Seeing their strongest mages fall like leaves, the students lose all hope, realizing that total annihilation is imminent. Minato steps forward quietly, the wind whipping his hair as he decides to finally reveal the power of the progenitor. The demon lord halts his advance, sensing a sudden, familiar chill in the air that he hasn't felt in 50 years. "You've grown far too bold in my absence," Minato mutters under his breath, his voice carrying a weight that echoes through the silence. A gargantuan multi-layered magic circle, larger than the entire academy building, manifests beneath Minato's feet. The professors stare in disbelief, realizing that this weak student is manifesting magic beyond the theoretical limits of humanity. Enraged by the human's insolence, the demon lord conjures a black sun of pure destructive energy and hurls it at Minato. Minato simply raises a single finger, and a forbidden Tier 12 nullification field dissolves the attack into harmless sparkles. The air hums with the resonance of ancient chants as Minato begins to weave a spell that shouldn't exist in this era. "Forbidden magic, heaven's judgment," Minato shouts, his voice booming like rolling thunder across the horizon. A pillar of pure celestial light erupts from the heavens, piercing through the red clouds and incinerating the demonic rifts. The lesser demons vanish in an instant, their bodies turned to ash by the overwhelming purity of the progenitor's mana. The demon lord tries to defend himself, but his shields shatter like brittle ice against the divine pressure. 50 years of peace made your kind forget who I am, Minato says, standing directly in front of the dying monster. Realization dawns on the demon lord as he recognizes the soul behind the boy's eyes, the legendary Ichikami Minato. With a final flick of his wrist, Minato triggers a collapse of the surrounding space, folding the demon lord out of existence. The world falls into a heavy silence as the red sky clears, leaving only the ruins of the academy behind. Before anyone can approach him, Minato suppresses his aura back to its previous weak level, his eyes returning to normal. Misa rushes to his side, tears streaming down her face as she checks him for injuries he couldn't possibly have. The professors and elite mages walk through the debris, trying to understand what happened to the savior who vanished. Only the teacher, who caught a glimpse of Minato's final spell, watches him with a mixture of terror and reverence. Hundreds of students who were about to die are now safe, their lives preserved by a legend they don't even recognize. Minato pats Misa's head, giving her a rare, genuine smile that reassures her more than any words could. The threat has been neutralized, but Minato knows that the real battle to restore the Age of Magic has only just begun. He will continue to hide in the shadows, guiding this weak era toward a future where magic can flourish once more. The Academy begins its long road to recovery, the legend of the Silver Flash Savior becoming a new mystery for the world. As evening falls, Minato sits with his new friends, sharing a simple meal while the world remains oblivious to his true identity. He sees the potential in them, a spark of the ancient magic that he will nurture until they too can stand against the darkness. The lineage of the progenitor is safe, and for the first time in 2 lives, Ichikami Minato finds true peace in the present. The curtains close on the first ascent of the Reincarnated Mage, leaving a legacy that will never be forgotten. His second ascent has only just reached its first peak, promising a world where the creator of magic reigns supreme once more. The progenitor has returned, and the world is finally ready to learn the true meaning of magic.